partisan media is definitely making things worse, and in a manner that's very dangerous for a democracy. It creates a world in which there's two strident voices that see the others as completely illegitimate, and they live in their own information worlds. So part of the problem is that the model makes money. Often uncompromising us versus them voices. And I think this is a consequence of years of the partisanship of social media, but also, of course, the partisan model of commercial media in the last few years, the last decade, and going back 25 years, I guess, with Fox. That's really having an effect. People have a remarkable cartoonish view of the other side. I think that's remarkably dangerous, because if you think that the other side is so extreme, you will feel it's okay for your side to go to an extreme to defend the values that you want to defend. And that creates this spiral where people are making excuses for conduct that otherwise they would recognise as being dishonest, far too aggressive, completely inappropriate. But instead, people feel like, well, we have to do this. And if you actually listen to the partisan social media and the partisan news media channels, they are obsessed with the other side. Both sides are always talking about the other side. So this kind of sets up this us versus them narrative. And every issue gets thrown into the same sort of churn of us versus them, the outrage of the other side. Partisan media is definitely making things worse, and in a manner that's very dangerous for a democracy. It creates a world in which there's two strident voices that see the others as completely illegitimate, and they live in their own information worlds. So part of the problem is that the model makes money. And it was a very interesting thing when we asked the question of the disengaged groups, the passive liberals, those sort of middle exhausted majority. We asked them about why they think that this world, the politics has become so tribalised. And they say, a lot of them say, because a lot of people are making money out of it. And so the financing model, I think, is a really important piece.
And people are onto it, right? They recognize that that's part of the problem.
How can we be telling that story of everyday Americans who are not these, two extremes? Can we get away from setting up debates between two extreme sides in order to have a blow-up that's sort of sensational and goes viral on Twitter and on Facebook? Can we, rather than doing that, can we put two normal moderate conservatives and a moderate liberal side by side who are actually more representative of most people in the country? Right. And they might talk through an issue, have points of difference, but also find that there's points of commonality. That's actually the way in which most Americans live their lives, but they're not seeing that in our politics. And I think that the media environment has definitely contributed to this.